fair to say that the Boston Cannons, when they came to meet with us, had great credibility because at the end of the day, Rob Cahill owns the Boston Cannons. And I don't think I have to say too much about Rob Cahill, but remind folks out there that Rob runs Granite Telecommunications in North Quincy in 3 buildings, employing more than 1,700 people in Quincy alone. He has been an incredible corporate citizen here in Quincy, very charitable, and continues to work with us on the downtown through another entity that he's involved with Fox Rock, and we're looking forward to many great things from that relationship. Some of you may know, I've been into our Veterans Memorial Stadium. I would suggest that there's many small colleges that would love to have that venue to play in. It's a magnificent facility. The wall was actually built by the WPA administration way back when. It was Pathman's Oval. It was used as a track before it became a stadium. And it's been used, as we all know, for a number of sports, both high schools, as well as youth organizations, adult leagues for many, many years. Having said that, our stadium is tired. It has some needs for improvement on the infrastructure side. So last night, essentially, the Park and Recreation Board voted to say yes to the Cannons coming to the stadium for use as their home fields games. I think there's 8 of them during the season, with the caveat we'll be going back to them for a final approval on the dates. In the meantime, we have had, I guess negotiations may be a strong word, but discussions with the Cannons and the organization about what types of improvements perhaps can be made in exchange for the use of the stadium. So I think it's an exciting day. When I was the park commissioner, we put the new turf in, the artificial turf, and initially about 12 years ago. I didn't know a whole lot about lacrosse. My kids were starting to play lacrosse, and I bet 20 years ago nobody would have envisioned that here in the city of Quincy. We were a baseball and a football city, evolved into a soccer city, and over the last several years we've seen great interest in the sport of lacrosse. And I know that former City Councilor Joe Finn would be quite thrilled as he was involved in starting the youth lacrosse here in the city of Quincy. So it's a great day, and what I'd like to do is now bring up the president of the Boston Cannons, Ian Frenette. Ian's going to talk a little bit more about the commitment by the Cannons and the organization. Ian.
Thank you, Mayor Koch, for the kind introduction and a little bit of overview into Veterans Stadium and what that means for the city. We're tremendously honored and excited about making Veterans Memorial Stadium the home of the Boston Cannons. This multi-year relationship is something that we are very excited about and looking forward to bringing the Cannons experience and Cannons family into the community. We, as Mayor Koch mentioned, Rob Hill is our Cannons owner, and over the last several years we've created a real unique brand in the Cannons organization, both in the lacrosse sphere nationally, but as well as here locally in New England. Our brand and our athletes are the most premier athletes in lacrosse, and the youth of our market really have a tremendous love for our game and the athletes and how they represent our sport. So today we're really excited about bringing our team and our organization to Quincy, the South Shore, and really what's most interesting about this is that there's already a community here that we're a part of. The Cannons brought our offices to Quincy in 2016, and we've been very much involved in the chamber and working closely with the Quincy Youth Lacrosse Program, as well as many other local entities. So we're extremely excited about that. I want to tell you a little bit about the process on our side. Traditionally in sports, you don't really just all of a sudden choose a venue and where you want to play. We've had a really significant partnership in the past and have played for several years at Harvard Stadium. As our business continues to grow and the needs of our fans change, we continuously need to understand what those demands are. As the sport continues to grow, you have more and more people playing lacrosse in New England. New England is the second largest market in the country for lacrosse by participation as laid out by U.S. Lacrosse. And so as we continue to grow as a major player in our sport, we need to continue to evolve exactly what the product is that we're delivering and making sure that our fans are getting what they expect. So we commissioned a study with the UMass Amherst and the Mark McCormick School of Sport Management back in 2016 to help us understand more specifically what the canons and our role is in providing the correct experience, but also geographically, where should we be? Quincy's location, just south of Boston, 8 miles from downtown Boston, is an ideal location for us to call our home. And then the venue in itself, in Veterans Memorial Field, the footprint there is fantastic. It may be a little tired, but we are excited to put capital and really go through the detailed outline of what we want to do to improve that venue, not just for us, but really for the community of Quincy. So coming out of the UMass study, we knew that location was key, community is key, community in Lacrosse, but also the business community, as well as making sure that the community that's here is something that is solid and diverse, and just like our game. So the other component of building out our plan was looking at the size of venue. Harvard Stadium, our former home, is a very large venue. It can seat 37,000 fans. Veterans Memorial has at least 5,000 bleacher seats with a large footprint. That footprint, I believe, and through the research we've done, is ideal for creating the best experience for Major League Lacrosse, and we know that through several of the other venues where our teams play in our league. So we're really excited about bringing a whole lot of energy into the experience that we create for our games, embracing the community, the non-lacrosse community as well, and creating something that is really, really special. So with a little more detail to come in the next few weeks, we will be able to roll out specifically what our experiences will look like, what the impact and improvement plan looks like, as well as the schedule, and making sure that we're in a great position. In addition to our games, our commitment is not just about 8 games a year. It is about serving this community, the entire city of Boston and Massachusetts, and as well as certainly here in Quincy, but also creating growth of the game through camps and clinics and coaches education. All those pieces are really integral to expanding the game of lacrosse, which is the fastest growing team sport right now in America. It is growing at lightning speed, and we're super excited about that, and super excited about bringing all of that here to Quincy. So I'll take some questions later, but I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank the mayor and the city of Quincy for taking our ideas and sitting down with us and devising a plan to make this a huge success for everybody involved. Thank you.
Next up, Tim Cahill is the president of the Quincy Chamber of Commerce. Tim has a long history in public service. Was a member of the city council, used to be in the old chamber. Sure, I'd love to be in this new chamber for some meetings. When he was on the city council, he was a business owner. He always spoke about the importance of economic development, about sustaining the business community in the city, what it means, and the balance it is, the contribution it makes to the economy of the city as a whole. Obviously putting people to work, number one, but also the healthy business and commercial taxes you have, the healthier the city coffers are as well. So Tim served, as we know, as a treasurer collector of the Commonwealth. And is that the right term, a general receiver, or a little technical term there, but treasurer of the Commonwealth, and served with distinction, really was the one that started school building authority. But Timmy's never lost his roots here in Quincy. We're so thrilled he's back to the chamber, bringing a whole new enthusiasm, business plan, and vitality to the Quincy Chamber. And I'd ask Tim now if he could come up and speak a little bit about the economic value of such a partnership.
Anyways, thank you very much, Ian. Thank you for the introduction. Ian, congratulations. Congratulations to the city. when this, a couple months ago, I was invited to the Cannons headquarters in North Quincy, and I remember parking my car on Heritage Drive and walking into the building and thinking to myself, well, it would be great if the Cannons team was actually in Quincy, not knowing what the meeting was about. And then going into the meeting and said, we want to come to Quincy. So I looked up and said, oh, my prayers are answered. So it was a really exciting day just to know that, Major League sports coming to our city. And I've always thought of our city as a Major League city. Now we've got a Major League sport having a home here. Not just a corporate home here, but the team home here. It is going to mean a lot. I'm just excited beyond words because it means so much to the city's economic and cultural and athletic legacy. And Quincy's always had a strong athletic legacy. We've always had a strong political and cultural history. And we're really building, I think we're building on a historical record of a strong business community. And that's my job, is to make sure that all of the businesses in Quincy see this as a positive for them. Whether you're up near the stadium, whether you're down in Quincy Center, whether you're in Wollaston Center, North Quincy, because we think this is great. I mean, we're bringing in thousands of people, at least eight times a year, not just for the games themselves, but to experience what's happening in Quincy. Come to the new Hancock Adams Common, see Restaurant Row on Hancock Street, and experience what we have here in the city, the coast, the hiking, I mean, all the aspects that we know make Quincy great that are going to show the rest of the state. Specifically the South Shore, because I know one of the reasons the Cannons are located here is because we are the gateway to the South Shore, and that's where a lot of the fans come from, up from the South Shore, and it's a real, as we say, it's a really easy place to get to. And when we walked the site a month ago, it was a beautiful fall day, and you just look out when you're up at the stadium and you realize what a beautiful site it is. When you look at Blacks Creek, you look at the field behind, you look at Marymount Park, it is really one of the premier sites, visual sites in the city, and I think it's just going to be a great home for the Cannons, and it's going to mean a great deal for this economy here in Quincy. Again, not just bringing people in on a weekly basis, but having them experience what's here in Quincy and what the benefits are. I want to really laud the mayor. One of the reasons this works, and he talked about public-private partnerships, the reason the private partnership works is because a few years ago he had the vision to create another sporting venue, which is Creedon Field in North Quincy for the North Quincy High School football team, lacrosse team, soccer teams. If he hadn't done that, we probably wouldn't have space for the Cannons. We wouldn't be able to fit it all in because we'd have two high school teams working on one field, and that would make it difficult to do. But that vision has made this vision a reality, and that's what when we talk about public-private partnerships, I know when I talk to the mayor, when I meet with him, that his word is good. He's thinking long-term about what is best for the city, and this wouldn't be possible if that vision and the action didn't take place as it did a few years ago, and that was one of the parts that just made this thing fit. So when things fit together, as this partnership will between the City of Quincy and the Cannons, it's not by accident. It's a vision that this mayor has had for the past decade and longer to make Quincy a home for people and give the folks like the Cannons the idea that this will work, and then they can work with the city, they'll work with our business community. We want all of our local businesses to reach out to them, and them to be able to reach out to the local businesses and create sponsorships that will benefit both the city, the businesses, and the Cannons. I mean, I will say on a closing note, I was jealous a few months ago when Worcester landed the Pawtucket Red Sox, because it made, it brought a lot of vitality, brought a lot of publicity to the city of Worcester, but I will remind you that's a minor league team. This is a major league team. And the city of Worcester is putting in tens of millions of dollars to make that work. The Cannons are putting in money to make this work. We've provided them the facility and we'll work with them, but it's a whole different way of doing a public-private partnership. The city really has no liabilities here. It's just, we've got a space, we'll make it work, they will make the investment in the space. Our schools will benefit, our sports teams will benefit from it, our youth leagues will benefit from it. I see this as being more than the usual positive when we're having a press conference and talking about something. This is really exciting for the city of Quincy, I'm looking forward to really having the business community in Quincy just embrace this concept and embrace this team so that they're as much a part of us. It'll feel like the Cannons have been here for decades and more after the first year. That's my hope and prayer. So looking forward to it, really exciting to be part of this. And I will tell you that the Quincy Chamber of Commerce is 200% behind this, and we'll make sure that it works so that the Cannons are here for a long time to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. I mentioned Joe Finn. I should mention Frank Casper and Tommy Lester. Those guys have been in the trenches for years working in the youth lacrosse, and I'm sure they're all going to be delighted with the announcement today because, as Ian mentioned a little bit, there will be that connection to our school programs and our youth programs with lacrosse, and it can only elevate the sport in this city. So excited about that piece. The other thing I want to mention before we take some questions is that make sure people understand that the dates we're looking at are also late Saturday in the day. So, there'll be a full plan in place, a traffic plan. Police will be involved in that, in addition to the plan to make the improvements to the stadium itself. So, Saturday late in the day is not a bad time at all to have this. In fact, it's a great time infrastructure-wise on the streets. To remind people that every Thanksgiving we have thousands at the Thanksgiving game, and it seems to work just fine. So we've got some work to do on continued discussions with the Cannons to make sure we do this flawlessly. But I truly look forward to bringing this deal to conclusion, Ian. That's going to have a great benefit to the youth of our city and a great benefit to the infrastructure of that great Veterans Memorial Stadium. With that, we'll be glad to take questions. And Ian, do you want to come back up? And Tim, and anybody has any questions?
Lots of questions. When we're talking about improvements, what are the kind of improvements to the stadium and the area that we're talking about?
Well, I think there's certain things that the city is responsible to take care of, but with all the challenges we have budget-wise, we can't get to all of those things, for example, in an old stadium. So everything's on the table. Those are the discussions we're having now, and I expect within weeks, not months, we'll be able to talk more publicly about those improvements and the level of commitment.
So,
Will the improvements have to be made before the first game is played?
That's our goal.
Yeah, so our first regular season home game is June 1st. And so our goal is to make those improvements for the 2019 season in advance of us starting. Maybe not all the improvements will be made by that time that will be in the ultimate plan, but our goal is to get them done as soon as possible. Not just to benefit us, but to also benefit the teams who will be playing there before us.
On that note, Joe, as everybody knows, we've just replaced the field, and the lighting is new, so that the basics are fine. It's those other amenities that go with the facility that we're looking at for improvements.
Like seating, that sort of thing? Or
Seating, restrooms, all those kinds of things.
Locker.
Are you confident in the T's ability to get people here? If it's about a mile away from Quincy Center, would there be also, will the T be one of the main ways to get people here via public transit?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest elements of us looking at this opportunity was the access via the T. We don't have a direct plan as of today for the getting from Walston over to Veterans Stadium, but it's about a mile. Some people may walk. If there's a comparison to being at Harvard, many times our parking is in the depths of Harvard. So many people travel by train and then go by foot as well. So I think our fans are used to that. And I think that geographic location being near the city is extremely important as the downtown core of Boston continues to grow, the Quincy Center continues to grow. That access is extremely important for the overall growth of our game and getting people to the venue.
I know you touched on it a little bit, but what exactly is it like to be bringing a pro sports team to the city of Quincy?
It's pretty exciting. We've Tim alluded to Worcester and the Paw Sox. We actually a few years ago met about a lesser AA baseball team that was looking at Quincy and looking at Adams Field. We just couldn't get there because the amount of dates and commitments they needed was too disruptive to the school and youth programs. The beauty of this is there is no disruption to our youth and school programs. It's limited dates. There'll be additional dates to the games for training and for some, I'm sure, some great opportunities for the cannons to work with our kids. But it's not disruptive. It's not a burden. In fact, quite the opposite. The city is going to see improvements in the stadium, which are largely needed right now, at no cost to the taxpayers. So this is a win-win. It's a great opportunity. And you know, I've become a great lacrosse fan. My oldest still playing up in college. My Marine, he played in high school. They both played in high school. My daughter played in high school. I didn't know anything about lacrosse except how to put the lines on the field as a park director. It's definitely here. It's changed. In fact, Tim, think about it back in high school. If we could run around with a stick in our hands, what a sport to
Hitting
play.
people.
Hitting people, yeah.
We did, it just wasn't sanctioned.
Well, you were from the Sterling area.
Yeah.
I get that. No, so it's just terrific. And of course, the Cannons, as you know, as Ian articulated, chose Quincy to run their operation out of. Rob Hale is made a huge commitment to the city in so many ways. So it just seems to make perfect sense all around. We'll hang around if anybody else has any comments or questions. We appreciate you coming. We're very excited about this. Stay tuned to coming weeks. We'll have a final vote of the park board, and we'll have a full announcement in detail on what exactly the improvements will be to our Veterans Memorial Stadium. So welcome, Boston Campus.